Hello, my name is Vasil Tarsenko, I'm a Russian attorney. Friendly reminder, we have a Telegram channel, find the link in the description and subscribe to it. So let's get it started. A foreign national, when coming to Russia, should remember some important things not to run into trouble, and we talked about some of them on our channel. But here we'll collect them all together to compile the ultimate guide for an alien in Russia. Hope you'll find this video useful, so let's get it started. Firstly, let's discuss a checklist to be followed when in Russia or before traveling to it. Mind your visa. We mentioned it in one of our videos, but it's worth reminding again. Even a day of overstay of your visa is illegal and may lead to serious consequences. As a rule, such foreigners are expelled from the country, an entry ban for a few years being imposed. And beginning from 2025, a citizen from a visa-free country who could before stay in Russia up to 90 days, each one 108 days now, has the right to stay here no more than 90 days each year. Overstaying this period may also result in the non-citizen being deported from the country with a ban on entry. Students and workers deserve a special mention. The first visa they receive is for 90 days, but this doesn't mean that they can arrive a week before its expiration at their place of work, study, and then get the next multiple entry visa for a longer period. The problem is that in the case of students and workers, it is necessary to apply for a new visa 20 working days, that is a calendar month, before its expiration. In addition, your employers or university's immigration specialists must prepare the necessary documents for this and make an appointment with the police, which will also take time. So we recommend not postponing your trip to Russia if you have just started studying or working. Mind your passport. It's not a very obvious rule, but you won't be issued a visa if your passport has less than 6 months left before it expires. Register with the immigration authorities. Once you arrive, you have 7 working days to register for migration purposes. It's called in Russia постановка на миграционный учет, that is to inform the Directorate of Migration Issues of the Ministry of Internal Affairs where you live. More precisely, this will be done by the inviting party, your university, employer, or person who invited you. If you rent an apartment, your landlord will do it. And if you live in a hotel, this will be done by a hotel. Medical facilities also register foreigners in case of hospitalization. And if you own a house, then you register yourself in it. A foreign national also needs to apply for registration extension when receiving a new visa, extending a patent when receiving a residence permit, and so on. That is in cases where the document that was the basis for staying in Russia has changed. You have 3 working days to do it. Moreover, it is logical that if you move to another place, you are also obliged to inform the Ministry of Internal Affairs about this. The period is the same 7 working days, but please note that if you are admitted to a hospital or check in a hotel, they will immediately register you at their address, and when you are discharged or check out, you will need to register again at your home within 7 days. If a person leaves the country, he is obliged to vice versa deregister. As I said, in most cases it is the host party that does this all, and while there are usually no problems with hotels, hospitals, universities, and employers, unpleasant situations do occur with landlords and friends or relatives who invite foreigners. They may not be aware that such a procedure is required for a person coming from another country, and some landlords just don't care. So before making a contract with the owner of an apartment where you are going to stay, ask them whether they will register you. And a Russian who's inviting a foreign relatives to their home should look for information on the internet or consult a lawyer how to accomplish it. Also, to avoid getting into trouble, be sure to notify your university or employer in advance that you are arriving or leaving, that you have changed your passport or obtained residence permit instead of a visa. Biometrics. Those who come to Russia to work here provide their biometrics within 30 days of arrival in the country. Foreigners who don't work in Russia but plan to stay here more than 90 days must also submit biometrics within these 90 days. The biometrics includes fingerprints and facial images. If you are in Russia and have not yet completed this procedure, go to a bank. An employee will instruct you on what to do next. Plus, for the bank, you will need SNILs. This is a number of the social fund of Russia. It is not difficult to get it, and one of our previous videos is related to it. On the 1st of December 2024, an experiment was launched to require foreigners to submit biometric data upon entry into the country, but not at all checkpoints at the airports of Sheremetyevo, Domodedovo and Zhukovsky. If possible, it's the airports of Vnukovo as well as at the automobile checkpoint Mostakovo on the border with Kazakhstan. Exceptions are citizens of Belarus, children under 6 years of age, and special categories of individuals, such as employees of consulates and embassies. We'll see if the experiment continues. Income, certificate, and stay in Russia. This point concerns those who has received a temporary or permanent residence permit. 1 year after you have received residency, you are required to submit the Directorate for Immigration Affairs of the Ministry of Internal Affairs a certificate of income which confirms that you can support yourself and your family, if any, within at least the subsistence minimum. In addition, you need to bring your passport. Based on the entries in it, officers calculate how many days you were in the country. Residents should be in Russia for at least 180 days per year, otherwise their permit will be cancelled. The reporting procedure is calculated as follows. 1 year after receiving residency, a foreigner registers with the Ministry of Internal Affairs within 2 months. That is, if a temporary residency permit was received on March 1st, 2024, then from March 1st, 2025, he has 2 months until the end of April to submit documents. Permanent address. This requirement also applies to Russian residents only if within 3 years from the date of entry into Russian Federation, a foreigner has not found some kind of residential premises, either rented or owned. Their permit may be cancelled. The next part of the video: what should not or can't you do in Russia? Don't throw away your migration card. A migration card is a white slip given by the border officers when you come to Russia. It is an important document that is required everywhere and proof that you have crossed the border legally. If you lose it, it can be restored, but it may be difficult and you will be fined for this. Every time you enter Russia, you are issued a new migration card. Visa restrictions. Remember, one can't work or study on a tourist, private or any other ordinary visa. However, you have the right to study on a work visa or vice versa, work part-time on a student visa. In the latter case, you must be a full-time student. And if a foreigner receives a temporary or permanent residence permit, he or she will be able to do all this without restrictions. Also, it's impossible to change the type of visa when in Russia. To do this, you should return to a country of nationality and receive a new visa there. The only exception is a highly qualified specialist who entered on a business visa. He or she qualifies for a work visa. What else? Only a student and a work visa can be extended in the Russian Federation, beginning from 2025, a private visa too. Many people ask us if it's allowed to extend tourist visa while in the country, but my answer is no, there's no way. Fines. 2 fines within 1 year and you may be removed from Russia with a ban on entry for several years. That is all for today. I hope you found this information useful. My name is Vasil Tarasenko. Subscribe, please. Bye.